Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Arlene Diamco, the Multidimensional MD. Thank you so much for joining me again on another episode of my podcast. Today, I wanted to talk about missing and if you miss someone or what to do with grief, because it can come around in so many waves, and it marks about a 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, it'll be 2 years since my dad passed. But I know so many other people are missing loved ones, whether they've crossed over, or maybe you have a child like I do, a grown child that has graduated and moving on to college. Or maybe you're missing an old home or where you used to live, or maybe easier times. Um, or it could just be that you're just missing old friends or anything, an old job. It doesn't mean that you wish that you were permanently back in those times, but there can be waves of things, of reminders and triggers that might bring up emotions that you thought were already fully processed. So things that you were completely over can be triggered again instantaneously by a photo, a childhood food, driving by a memorable sight. So I wanted to talk about grief and missing someone or something again, because there are can look at this. And if you are missing someone or something, there can be a mix of feelings with that too. So I'm going to talk about this in a multidimensional way of how we can look at how that affects the body, of our mind and our emotional state, and then how we can dive more into spirit with that. So I'll review ways that I approach these layers so that you can do, because as always, my mission is to bring the intuitive aspects of health back to medicine in practical and tangible ways so that you can access deeper healing and feel more peace, love, and joy in your everyday lives. So, first, grief in the body. So, what happens with grief in the body? Grief can be really exhausting. It can make you feel so tired in both your body and your mind. And we know from studies and research that grief can weaken the immune system. It can interfere with sleep. It can mess with your appetite. You could notice that you have higher blood pressure. It can actually increase your risk of clots. And there's something called broken heart syndrome, which is more commonly found even in cardiologists, but who have to deal with people with like broken hearts all the time, literally physically broken hearts. But broken heart syndrome is something that happens after a loved one has passed, or the grief is so overwhelming that it can start to affect the physical heart as well. You could notice physical symptoms more on one side of the body than the other. So when my dad had passed a couple years ago, for months, I felt this achiness in my right shoulder, just like this big weight on my shoulder. And it's interesting because sometimes that asymmetry can tell you something. There's that masculine, feminine, energetic sides of the body. So the right side of the body tends to be more masculine, the left side of the body tends to be more feminine. And so I mean, it was pretty straightforward in that regard, since it was my right shoulder, right side, since it's more masculine, could have to do with relationships with a male in your life, or it could have to do with masculine aspects such as finances. And I talk more about that in episode 45, balancing the masculine, feminine energies. So balance, with all of this that you're facing, like with the intensity of what you're physically feeling, you could need more rest to maintain balance. But at the same time, that balance doesn't mean to only stay in bed, to not do anything ever, because you still need some momentum to help you process these things, right? So if we stayed always in bed, it could be too much of a depression. So it could keep us really stuck. So it's this balance of allowing ourselves to get enough rest, but also allowing ourselves to step into situations that are hard and difficult to feel. Because grief is also a type of learning. This is something that Mary Frances O'Connor, a PhD psychologist at the University of Arizona, says, that grief is a type of learning, because every small aspect of our day can be a reminder of how we are missing our loved ones, or how every step in our day is different without our loved one, or if you've had a big move or other big life transition, that everything you do in your day is different. So we are learning how to do everything anew again, just like a rebirth. So it's an opportunity to also to approach things from a more childlike wonder of the unknown, because when you're little, you're always learning something new. Every day is new. And then, I mean, they progress through the years so quickly. And so every year, every grade they're learning something new. And as adults, sometimes our lives can get like more routine, like year after year, but kids are so used to facing new things. And so to look at your life, if you've had big transition and feeling that grief of through the eyes of like this childlike wonder and curiosity of what's to come, because you have to learn and make new pathways in your brain of learning to do things in new ways, learning to do things on your own again. So it can feel like learning to walk all over again, because you're literally like walking through your life in a completely different way. So grief is a type of learning. And then grief, of course, involves a mix of emotions. It's not just sadness. There's often anger and regret, panic and yearning. There's this combination of being very gentle with ourselves, yet non resistant. So, this is also that balance I was talking about in the physical of allowing yourself to rest, at the same time, allowing yourself to step into some momentum. So, being gentle with yourself, yet non resistant to whatever you are feeling, because that allows you to process in time. So, while you are allowing yourself to gently go through, feel different emotions, but at the same time, I mean, not letting them overwhelm you, but not resisting the emotions completely and not resisting everyday situations completely. So to do that, it takes a pause to breathe into your body, to you could do a meditation of sorts where you just meditate on the story of whatever you're going through with your presence. So choosing to be there with yourself and then choosing to use your breath to help yourself move through it. So you get to feel it, like where do you feel it in your body? What are you feeling mentally, emotionally? What are you thinking? And then check in with your breath. Are you breathing? So making sure that you breathe through all of that, because the breath is your momentum. It will keep you unstuck. So even if you have to be very gentle with yourself and you feel like you have to take it very slowly, just step by step, moment by moment, that breath will get you there. It's your it's carrying you through every moment. So all you have to do is to make sure that you keep your breath moving with your presence. So it takes your awareness, you take your awareness, your consciousness, and place it a gentle awareness on your breathing. And that's all you have to do. If you just did that and brought your awareness to your breathing, that already would be an amazing meditation, because so many times in our day when we feel overwhelmed or we feel stuck, we're not breathing, we're not moving our breath. So if you take your conscious awareness, your consciousness, which is this loving neutral awareness, and you place that mindfully on your breath, and make sure that it's moving. And then you place that mindfully on your body and notice what's there and breathe into those areas that might feel like they're aching or might feel like they have a weight in them. And then take that awareness and then shine a light on whatever you're feeling, thinking, mentally, emotionally, and add your breath to that too, which takes us to the last point, that grief invites us to free fall and to trust. So to completely surrender to the universe. And I guess, again, this doesn't mean just laying around in bed, although you may need to do that sometimes. But this is an invitation to dive more into spirit, because when you are missing someone and you can't be physically together, then it is your life. It is spirit inviting you to be aware of spirit, be aware of that oneness, the stillness, the universe. And so you can you can ask for help. So sometimes instead of a free fall into trust, it can feel like you're sinking into this deep abyss, and it can feel like you feel so sad and so depressed. And so in those times, I will ask for help. I will ask the angels, or you can ask whatever you believe in, the universe, the stillness, your guides, whatever, God, whatever feels good for you, to ask for help from the divine. And I can literally feel some of that weight lift off of me. And it's like I'm being propelled from below, with this nest of feathers and wings lifting me up, because I'll choose to. I'll say to myself, like, I don't want to fall into this deep abyss. Like, please help me. And then I'll feel myself start to lift up. And sometimes to help like lighten those deep, heavy moments, I'll think of these of precious, lighthearted moments that can lift your heart. So it could be the giggles of my kids, or a baby's laugh, or it could be laughing at a joke with your siblings or friends, something that is completely ridiculous and is really silly, and probably it seems like it doesn't really mean that much. When you remember those moments, then it can just give you that little momentum from below, just to lift up you up some, so the weight that is feels like it's pushing you down doesn't feel as heavy, and then can feel more manageable. And then at the same time, you're asking for help. And then as you do this, as you dive more and more into spirit, then you may be able to start to have some conversations with your loved ones from beyond. You can have conversations with the universe. You can have conversations with the divine, and you can just make it up. So just use your imagination, and it's heart centered when the message that comes through is very loving and supportive. So your loved one from beyond is completely like love and light. They no longer have this heavy weight of the physical body, and so they can help you from beyond that veil. So if you're wondering if the messages are real, then just see, are they supportive? Are they loving? And then just you can might feel like you're making up in your imagination. You may in the beginning not know if it's real or not. That's okay. Just see. Just use your imagination and see what comes up for you. Because so many times people do this, and something will come through, or they might still feel like, oh, they made it up, but it has a meaning to them. And this is something, maybe, depending on where you are in your life, of course at some point everybody goes through this life transition of facing a loss of a loved one that has crossed over. And so the more that we are able to dive into the profoundness and the amazingness of that transition, and that we can continue our relationship with our loved ones even from beyond, then that can really be so uplifting to you. Um, so see what happens for you when you do that. If you need help with that, then I'm here for you. And this is something that I love to do, is just to help you connect more with spirit, help you connect more with your intuition, help you connect with the intuition of your body, the intuition of your mind, your emotions, and the intuition, that inspiration coming from spirit. So I hope that this helps you in some way. And if you have any questions on this topic, then feel free to leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to get back to you. And you can also connect with me on Instagram at All Worlds Health, on Facebook, All Worlds Health and Pediatrics. And you can sign up for my e-love letters. I send them once a week on Wednesdays. You can do that on my website, which is allworldshealth.com, all worlds with an S, health.com. So lots of love to you. It's Dr. Arlene Tiamco, the multidimensional MD. I believe in you, and I hope that you believe in you too. I'll see you next week on Wednesday, 11 a.m.-ish to noon-ish, somewhere around that time. It's summer, so I've had to be a little more flexible with my kids home. But I'm here for you. Take care. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.